If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For 10 years, Sarah was my everything. We built a life together in Chicago, brick by brick. We had our inside jokes, our favorite little Italian place in Lincoln Park, our shared dreams of a house in the suburbs. To me, she was perfect. But perfection, I learned, is often just a beautifully constructed lie. It started subtly. She became protective of her phone, angling it away whenever I walked into the room. Late nights at the office became more frequent. She'd come home smelling faintly of a cologne that wasn't mine, her eyes bright with an energy that wasn't for me. When I'd ask, she'd just laugh it off.
Oh, that's just David from marketing.
She'd say, "You know how he practically bathes in that stuff?" I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She was Sarah. My Sarah. The lies got bolder. A girls' weekend in Galena turned into a solo trip because everyone else bailed last minute. She sent me photos of quaint antique shops and smiling selfies, but something felt staged. Then came the anniversary dinner we had planned for months at Alinea. She canceled an hour before, citing a sudden work emergency. "A huge client is flying in, Mike. I'm so sorry, baby. I'll make it up to you, I promise." That night, I ate a fancy steak alone at our kitchen counter, staring at the empty chair across from me. The silence was deafening. She came home after midnight, exhausted but triumphant about landing the deal. I hugged her, but she felt distant, like I was embracing a stranger. She and this David character, her boss, seemed untouchable. They'd walk into company parties together, laughing, sharing inside jokes right in front of me. He'd put a hand on the small of her back, a gesture a little too familiar, and she wouldn't flinch. They looked like the power couple. And I was just the quiet, supportive husband standing in the corner, feeling like a fool. The night it all broke was a Tuesday. She kissed me goodbye, saying she was heading to a conference in Milwaukee and would be back late the next day. "The drive is too much to do in one go," she explained. I packed her a thermos of coffee, just like I always did. Around 2 a.m., I woke up with a jolt. A cold dread washed over me. I don't know why, but I grabbed my phone and opened the location app we shared for emergencies. I saw her blue dot. It wasn't on the highway to Milwaukee. It was stationary in a part of downtown Chicago we never went to. The Rendezvous Inn. My fingers trembled as I typed the name into a search engine. The reviews were descriptive, discreet. Hourly rates, no questions asked. My heart hammered against my ribs. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't a conference, this was a betrayal. I sat on the edge of our bed, the bed we shared, and I just broke. The kind of break that echoes. Everything we had built felt like a sandcastle, and the tide was just rolling in, washing it all away. For 2 days, I was a ghost. I called in sick to work. I wandered our quiet apartment, touching her things, her favorite mug, the book on her nightstand, a framed photo of us smiling on our honeymoon at Navy Pier. Every object was a fresh stab of pain. The man who loved his wife unconditionally was gone, and his place was someone else, someone colder, clearer. The grief morphed into a glacial rage. She wasn't just cheating. She was systematically dismantling my life, my trust, my sanity, all while smiling in my face. The humiliation burned hotter than the sadness. She thought I was a fool. She thought I was a joke. Fine. I decided right then I wouldn't just leave. I would give them the ending they deserved. I would become the architect of their ruin. My first move was to play the part of the oblivious, loving husband. When she came back from her conference, I greeted her with a hug. "I missed you," I said, my voice steady. She smiled, a perfect, practiced smile. What I'll with, what I will one way, one way. I would why were I one would I would I we wore I we would sing club. Why cry? Well, I got to I would cut. Why cry? We saw would I why would why we what's that day I became a detective in my own life. I started with our finances. Sarah handled our joint accounts, priding herself on her financial savvy. I hired a forensic accountant, a discreet professional who worked out of a small office in the Loop. I told him I suspected employee fraud at my small business to avoid suspicion. Within a week, he uncovered the rot. Sarah had been siphoning money from our joint savings for over a year. Small amounts at first, then larger and larger withdrawals. Cash payments for hotel rooms, lavish dinners, expensive gifts all, documented on secret credit card statements sent to a P.O. box. She had opened the card in her maiden name. In total, she had funneled nearly $75,000 of our shared future into her affair. That was the first nail in her coffin. Next, I needed undeniable proof of the affair itself. Hiring a private investigator felt like something out of a movie, but this was my life now. I found an ex-cop named Rousseau. He was old school, grizzled, and didn't ask too many questions. I gave him David's photo and work schedule. For the next 3 weeks, Rousseau was my eyes and ears. He sent me daily updates, time-stamped photos of them meeting for lunch, kissing in David's car in a secluded parking garage, entering the rendezvous and together, their hands intertwined. Each photo was a twist of the knife, but it was also a piece of my armor. The most damning evidence came from a small, powerful listening device Rousseau planted in David's car. I have a friend who's a wizard with electronics, and he owed me a big favor. It was legally gray, but I was past caring about legal gray areas. I spent hours listening to their conversations. They mocked me. They called me predictable, boring, the safe option. Sarah laughed as she described how easy it was to lie to me. He trusts me so much, it's almost sad, she said one afternoon. David replied, "Don't worry, babe. Once I get the partnership, we'll be on a beach in Bali. And good old Mike will still be wondering where his savings went." They weren't just cheating, they were plotting. David was up for a major promotion at their firm, a partnership that would make him untouchable. Sarah was planning to leave me the moment he secured it, taking half of everything I thought we owned. They felt invincible. That was their biggest mistake. The plan for my revenge was meticulous, a symphony of destruction. I called it the unveiling. I timed it for the day of the firm's annual gala. The very night David's promotion was to be announced. It was the biggest event of the year, held at the Drake Hotel, attended by every partner, client, and employee. The firm's reputation was everything. First, the financial bomb. 2 days before the gala, my lawyer, armed with the forensic accountant's report, filed for divorce. He also filed an emergency motion to freeze all our joint assets and Sarah's secret accounts, citing dissipation of marital assets. The court order hit her bank account like a thunderbolt. Every card she had was declined. Her access to our money was severed completely. She called me frantic, confused. I didn't answer. Then came the professional demolition. Compiled everything into a neat, anonymous package. The PI photos. Transcripts of their conversations in the car. The secret credit card statements showing company funds being used for their trysts, a detail the forensic accountant had flagged. I created an anonymous email address, and exactly 1 hour before the gala began, I sent the package to the firm's entire board of directors, the HR department, and David's wife. The subject line was simple, regarding David Miller's partnership. The final act was personal. I knew Sarah would still go to the gala. She was too proud not to. She probably borrowed a dress, desperate to maintain the facade. I arrived late deliberately. I walked into the grand ballroom just as the managing partner was on stage, a microphone in hand. The room was buzzing with an undercurrent of chaos. People were whispering, looking at their phones. I saw David, pale and sweating, being cornered by 2 senior partners. I saw his wife, her face a mask of cold fury, walking out of the ballroom without a backward glance. Then I saw Sarah. She was standing alone near the bar, her perfect composure finally cracking. Her eyes darted around the room, searching for an ally, finding none. Our eyes met across the room. There was no hatred in her gaze, just a dawning, bottomless horror. She finally understood. She saw the ghost she had created. I didn't say a word. I just held her gaze for a long moment, letting the silence scream what I never would. Then I turned and walked away, leaving her alone in the ruins of the life she had torched. I never saw her again. The legal battle was brutal, but I had all the evidence. She lost everything. David was fired for ethics violations and misuse of company funds. His career was over. Their perfect plan, their untouchable future, evaporated into nothing. Sometimes, late at night, I pull up that location on the map. It's the Rendezvous Inn. The place where my old life ended and this new one began. The rage is gone now, replaced by a quiet, hollow cold. I won. I destroyed them. But victory feels a lot like being the last one standing in a graveyard. The apartment is clean now. All her things are gone, but her ghost still lingers in the quiet spaces. Last night I drove past our old Italian place in Lincoln Park. A new couple was sitting at our table, laughing. The end.